Hello and welcome to the Squeaky Bum Time Podcast with Mike and Laurent. It is April 19th on a Tuesday. I got it all backwards. In this episode, City find the FA Cup a bridge too far. It is their Operation Market Garden. Chelsea rigged the semi for the Gallagher-less Palace. That's why they could beat them, because they didn't have their own best player. But first, Mike, does anyone want to finish in the top four? Does my beloved Brighton want to stop everyone in North London from winning anything?
They do. There's the first time they did that, the North London away double in like 70 years or some shit like that. It's not 70. It doesn't matter how long. It was a fucking long time. But we're here we are again. It's April. And
Teams
there
are
are
collapsing.
4 teams that want nothing the fuck to do with the last Champions League spot. And somehow it always ends up being Tottenham and Arsenal in this race.
Yeah, playing the role of Leicester City is Arsenal.
Right. It's been Chelsea. It's been Leicester. It's been United. It's been West Ham. It's just
That's right.
the worst.
Although West Ham pulled it out.
Yeah, no, I know. And now they're back in the race, but they shit the bed 3 weeks ago, right? Like, so...
And they're the only one of those 3 playing European games. They're fucking, you know what?
Right, they're in deep shit.
We're going to do scores. We're going to do all this. Before we do anything, the season could end tomorrow and West Ham could lose all 7 games. What a fucking incredible season by that group of 11 guys. Literally that group of 11, because there wasn't anyone else. It's that group of 11.
Yeah.
David Moyes is just like, he's just like, you know what? You guys fucked me. I was in the wilderness. I went to Sociedad. You broke. You know what? It's another thing. Like, we talk about players losing confidence. He lost his confidence as a manager.
Mojo. Yeah.
And he had to go into the wilderness, try and be David Moyes in Spain, which was weird. Then I think he took Sunderland down.
Yep.
And he killed them. They're gone. They're like, they have a show about them that's like literally the saddest show.
Don't watch it.
It's so sad.
Don't watch it. You'll want to kill yourself. It's like, not even like as a sad thing, just like hey, I don't have to feel this way anymore. Like oh God, don't watch that show.
Yeah. Sunderland till I die. Good. It's like, no, I'm going to die by supporting Sunderland.
Yeah.
So Moyes gets the coach of the year. That's done for me. I'm just telling you. And then our guys, your boys, just dropping hatfuls of goals, run into Graham Potter, who's just like, I know what you're doing. I got this. We're going to put 5 players in the midfield, and we're going to follow Harry Kane. And Yves Bissouma's like, no, I'm done with this. Right. This dropping in and you running behind. We're going to chase Kane, and when you guys run, we're going to follow your runners. Very simple. I
enjoyed that performance very much from Brighton, but I'll say this. I had to sit through Jim Proudfoot on the call, and I thought that he's fine usually. Like he's your nondescript, boring white English dude who's on some of the Barclays ads that you hear. Actually, that's Peter Drury. But the point is, like, he's like 3rd or 4th in the rotation of like the top quality guys. Pretty good, not the best, but not bad by any stretch. But what he was doing, and forget the Tottenham thing for a second, but what he kept saying was that all of these things that Tottenham was not doing. No. They barely got off the bus, right? Brighton took that game to them. They were all over them. Now, let's be clear. I do think that a draw was probably the most fair result.
Probably more fair.
And I'm not saying that because I support one team or whatever, but I just don't think Brighton sure as shit made sure that like their mission was, hey, Tottenham, you're not getting anything from us today. And they were on the front foot. They never really, it was like a passive press, if you will, right? Because there were times
they played no striker, no Mopé, no wipes.
Right.
But they went with the ever-present Trossard, who is a slick motherfucker. You got to watch him.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. I thought if there was a team that deserved the win, it was Brighton. I thought that the rightful outcome was a draw. But if you weren't watching that game and you were just listening to it, you'd have thought that it was like Tottenham had committed war crimes. Like, no, talk about the game in front of you. Don't call the table. Call the game.
Yeah,
and that really kind of bothered me.
I think it's you started complaining about. Well, let's do the scores, then we can get back into it.
We'll get back into this. Okay,
the scores have to happen because that's just how we do things now. We have a system. There's a system in place. I will do the FA Cup scores. Let's start with the FA Cup. City 2, Liverpool 3. City don't show up for the first half. City send in their reserves. Liverpool annihilate City. I called this City just didn't show up. They couldn't show up. They didn't have the players. They didn't have the energy. They made it something of it in the back end of the game. Good for Liverpool. The quadruple's on. I'm petrified. If they win a quadruple, we'll never hear it from the Scousers for the rest of our fucking lives.
It will end the Premier League and England as it stands currently.
So, anyway, Liverpool will burn down. That's fine. Then Everton might get their stadium because there'll be an empty hulking area where they can just build whatever they want. Then Chelsea have a tough half against Crystal Palace, who sit in to defend. And without Gallagher, they just don't have the gear. I think Vieira made a mistake. He played a defensive style that he thought would be the right thing for Chelsea. But Chelsea's really not that good. You don't have to play defensive.
Yeah, no, we talked about it. We said what? If we sent all three, Olise, Zaha,
they didn't put Olise. He went with Mateta, who didn't really help, and he took him off in the 56th minute. Anyway, they lose 2-0, setting up a fourth round attack between 3 draws that Chelsea and Liverpool have played in the FA Cup final. I'm liking Chelsea for that one because that's all they've got. And Liverpool will be like, we have 3 more games. We got to try and win the FA Cup. Wait, what? The Champions League finals 2 weeks after that? Oh, my God. Anyway, so we go to Saturday. Your mob, we just talked about it. Brighton 1, Tottenham 0. Trossard's goal at the end was really good. Late goal, but the midfield for Brighton was fantastic. Then the other team from North London, Southampton away. We called it. This team's not going to be easy to beat, even after they give up 6 goals. The goal from Bednarik stands from the first half, late in the first half, and Southampton see out Arsenal, who are now lost 3 of 4 of 5 maybe. Then on Sunday, we didn't have a lot of games because they were all mixed up with the FA Cup. West Ham won, Burnley won. West Ham hang on. Burnley should have won this game. Cornet draws the penalty, takes the ball off of, could have been up 2-0 early after Sean Dyche fired, which we never talk about, by the way. We talked about it a lot. But he misses, and West Ham survive a draw. And then in the 95th minute, Newcastle literally go from corner across the field, target with the freaking Cruyff turn in the back corner, up the field to Willock, who runs halfway across the field. Bruno runs, follows it up. He scores the winner. And Leicester, the team that has blown more games in the last 5 minutes than any team I've ever heard of, blow this game. Newcastle win. Cue scenes. Bruno Guimaraes, whatever they're calling him, Bruno, goes nuts. He loves it. What a win for Newcastle. That is a galvanizing win. They don't have to win another game for the rest of the season. No, they're on 37. They're golden. Done. And Leicester can rue another day. It seems the regular press has started to figure out what I figured out in the first month of the season. Schmeichel's cooked.
Yeah.
He is not good anymore. And I'm sure that Brendan Rodgers must have the same stats I do. How does he not see this? Anyway, that's okay. Those are the scores. I don't think there's anything else, but there's games midweek. But
it's a big midweek.
About more shit. I forgot one game that I don't want to talk about anyway. I forgot. Manchester United 3, Norwich 2.
And we have to start there.
United tried to ditch this game, but Norwich ditched it more than they did.
Norwich did it, and it's your classic.
And Cristiano gets a hat trick, scoring his first free kick in 2 years and his second in 5, but he takes all of them.
Well, what I said to you and Chari is true, right? It's by my count at least the 5th or 6th game, which can translate to literally 15 or 18 of Man United's 54 points. So a third of Man United's points are literally instances where it's like, oh yeah, they have that guy, including both games against Spurs, where like their team is complete shit from 1 to 10.
It's
but
not
that
a unit
11th man, that 11th man, it was literally like the LeBron James Cavs. Like, holy shit, this team is a disaster. How are they even in the play? Oh, right. They just keep passing it to that fucking guy. Right? Like, remarkable.
I think sometimes their whole season comprises of these guys are really super fucking talented. They're all on the same team. And once in a while, they have moments where things happen and they score goals. Their best player of the season has been De Gea by far. Yep. He's like plus 10 goals saved on expected goals, which is like 4 games.
Sure.
Then you've got Elanga, who doesn't know what he's doing, but at least he knows if I close someone down, I pass it to Ronaldo after I get it.
Yeah.
That's an effective system. I like that.
Yeah.
And they're not a unit. They're not connected. Norwich blew this game. They should have won. They gave away goals.
No, I know, but
They're
at the
still
same
playing out from the
time,
back, which is a joke. That's why they're going
yeah,
down.
I mean, look, their goose is cooked, right? They're not.
They're going down.
They're going down, and I think everybody has knows it. For a moment there, and this is the problem
game. I
with
missed the
teams
game.
that are so soft that like.
Oh, I missed Watford Brentford. I don't know why I skipped it. Anyway, Brentford scored
that's
late.
another late winner with
Ericsson.
But back to United, it's a case for Norwich where they hear the footsteps, they hear the shadows start to appear, and it's 2-1. And they're like, oh, fuck, we're going to be, oh, yeah, there it is. Now it's tied. And they held on and held on and held on. And then Ronaldo did Ronaldo things. And that's really all that you really need to say about it, because, it was shaping up to be a classically terrible top four weekend. And then here come United, smash, bag, and crash. And now they're right back in it, whether I like it or not. Okay.
They're there.
They're right there. And it's not because they're any good. It's because Tottenham and Arsenal and West Ham are fucking terrible.
Remember, we talked about this when we saw the Everton and Norwich on the schedule. We were like, if they win both these games, the narrative is going to flip. Now, they didn't win both the games, but the other two lost games that wouldn't have been expected. And so, by default, they gain, because the other teams aren't winning. They gain 3 points out of that 2-game stretch. And so they're right back in it. West Ham get their draw. It's really down to it. And it wouldn't surprise me. It would surprise me. It would surprise me if United got that top 4 spot.
It wouldn't surprise me. But here's the thing. The top 4, or I should say the race for fourth, has more or less become the Hunger Games. But instead of, it's almost like, it's like the reverse Hunger Games, because everybody's trying to lose, right? Like, so I just.
What do you think it's going to take? Like 66?
Let me look at the table real quick. It's usually right around that 65 to 70.
Tottenham are on 57 with 6 games to go. So that's
right. So
18
that's
points.
18 points. So that's 65 points would be if Tottenham win all of their remaining games, which they will not, I promise.
They would be on 76.
It will take the first one to 62 is going to get it. I'm not saying 62 is the number, but whoever's first to that number.
Well, isn't it really like 1.5 points per game would really get you there?
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So that's 9. So yeah. Not 62, 72. I meant to say 72.
72 would be a big number if they got to 72. They're on 1.75 points per game.
They're at 57 now. So I said 65. I apologize. 75 is the maximum number of points that Tottenham can get. Right.
They're not going to get to 75.
I understand.
It's going to be like 66, 67 will get it to you. So 10 points from their next
the next 18.
Yeah. That would be okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's closer to 70. I would say it's just under 70, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that nonetheless, you're looking at a team that's going to have to go on least bad run. Now, Tottenham and United both have to play Arsenal. Arsenal have to play Chelsea, and actually, Arsenal have to play.
Arsenal
United,
have to play
Chelsea,
all 3. It's in their hands. They just win those 3 games. They're in.
Wow, the thing, in so much as it's in their hands, but is it? Like
they're not winning those games.
No, and speaking of, I think that's that's a good segue into one of the 2 major matchups of the week on Wednesday, Arsenal Chelsea, and I begrudgingly have to root for the Blues, and a number of my friends are already making a hell of a lot of fun of me for that. But I mean, at the same time, I think that they're going to blow this fucking game, and I think Arsenal's going to get at least a draw, because I know we don't agree on this, but
no way.
Arsenal's dropped 3 games in a row now, but the last 2, they played the opposition off the park, right?
No, there's no way they are beating Chelsea without Thomas Partey. None. 0.
And that's fair. That's fair.
Chance.
What I'll say is I think that Chelsea is going to be checked out from the Premier League. They've more or less got 3rd place sewn up. There's no real reason to be that excited about it. And additionally, where is Chelsea's schedule going after that? They've got Arsenal, West Ham,
Well, they don't care. They're
Hey.
done. They're just waiting for the FA Cup final.
Right. You know what? I did have in my back of my head that they were still in Champions League, which they are not. So maybe
No,
this is all they have now until the very end.
That's all they've got. So we have talked. We talked Brighton. We haven't talked about Arsenal. Like you said, Arsenal really peppered Southampton. Southampton got their goal early, but it's hard to go, especially for Arsenal, to go to Southampton and score. And I think the narrative, if you talk to Arsenal fans, is their narrative is they're young, they can't really react, they're in TM, Squeaky Bum Time for their season.
You know.
They're having a hard time. They're not. Lacazette is supposed to be the veteran who's scoring goals, but he hasn't scored for eons. Nketiah is giving them nothing. And when those wingers don't score goals that look pretty, they don't have anything. And I don't know what's happening with Odegaard. I haven't watched them closely. Is he creating shots? Is he having to drop into the midfield because there's no one to make those transitions happen? Or he's afraid that Sambi Lokonga is going to get into trouble, so he's dropping deeper to defend. We know what you get from Xhaka, which is fuck all. And then their defense is injured. They don't have Tomiyasu. They're running with Suarez. They didn't have enough depth. And the Arsenal world is looking at January and saying, what the fuck happened? We lost Aubameyang. Now they're like, we don't have Aubameyang. We need him. I'm no, you didn't. He was dragging your team down.
I'll say this. If they had kept Aubameyang, they would be in 9th place because he would be basically the cancer
out of the ground. Yeah.
It was interesting to see the end of that tenure where nobody wanted him there. It was reminiscent of Eriksen's end of spell at Spurs.
Right. When the guys are done, they're done. You got to get them out.
And that was the thing. Like the weird thing, the only difference in that parallel I just made is that like Eriksen was still the engine for Spurs, but he was doing it basically on a tryout basis. Like somebody come and fucking get me, please.
Yeah.
And that was basically the only reason he felt any drive to go farther after the Champions League final. Whereas Aubameyang couldn't be fucking bothered. Right.
I do want to get to our friend, Mr. Dyche. Mr. Sean Dyche, when we had our big Everton episode, when we were talking about whether Everton would go down, the only thing we called out on why Burnley would stay up was that they had Dyche.
Yeah.
And now they don't. They do get a draw. They probably could have won. And so now Everton get a huge shot in the arm because I do not believe in Frank Lampard. Frank Lampard is not a good coach. The only thing that's saving them is the fact that they have those home games and they push, and Gordon pushes them. But right now, Burnley are 3 points behind. They have the same amount of games. They need to win 3 games.
They actually,
and they need Everton to really lose.
Well, so Everton has 1 game in hand. They have the same goal difference. But what I'll say is, I think
what a shock though.
I looked at of course. I looked at Burnley's schedule before they had fired Sean Dyche.
They still have Watford, I think.
That's the 1 game. But I'm like, I don't see it because they'll surprise everybody with a smash and grab and beat somebody they shouldn't. Fine. But I don't see them out footballing anybody on their schedule, including Watford. But now I don't know. It's up in the air. As a wild card. Yeah, they're sort of wild card. So I like to think that they'll go for it, right? Because now, I mean, we've said this all year, go for a win every fucking time instead of playing passive and going for the draws.
Yeah, those draws no longer help. Like
these draws don't help you.
Draws are a push, right?
Right.
Yeah, they needed to win that game. Maybe Cornet pushed it. But Southampton, Wolves, Watford away, Aston Villa. They have Aston Villa twice, home and away, which is weird.
Right.
And they have Spurs and Newcastle. Not an easy run, but it's not a lot of games. Like it's really getting.
But you didn't say it aside from Spurs, anybody from the top 7, right?
No. So it's teams that they will feel like they can beat.
Yeah.
I think the thing to remember is like Weghorst is like a 20-goal scorer. Like
that's what I'm saying.
A joke.
They have him. They have Cornet.
If they open up the handbrake, maybe they just play completely differently.
And who would be more surprised than that than the first few opponents? They're like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah.
Right? Like imagine scouting Burnley right now. You're like, no idea what's going to come out of that fucking
Now,
dugout.
the problem is that can they do that? That's one question. They did lose Westwood. Apparently, All I heard was grizzly injury where guys were crying. I don't know what the injury was.
No thanks.
Maybe he broke his leg. That would be my guess.
Yeah.
That's usually where it comes from. But Southampton are hit and miss. You don't know what you're going to get. It's at home.
You can beat Southampton.
They can beat Southampton
at night.
Then Watford. That's 2. We're calling that 2. Can they get? Are they going to lose to Aston Villa twice?
Well, wait a minute. If they have 2 wins, that means that they'll be one. Does Everton have a win in them, right? Because then that means that Everton have to have 1 win to be even on 31 points. So then you go down the stretches. I don't remember what the second tiebreaker is, but you're basically talking about a neck and neck race for that final safety spot, which is going to make the
Everton
awesome.
have an also strange schedule. They have Leicester twice, but they also have Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, Crystal Palace, and Brentford. But they do have the advantage of 3 home games. They have Chelsea at home, they have Brentford at home, and they have Palace at home.
Right.
I don't know where those teams are going to be at that point. They have the advantage, right? They've got the points. They've got the players. They have a lot of advantages. And now Burnley have the wild card advantage. They are
exactly.
I don't know what they are. They are probably.
They don't know what they are.
Right. They don't score goals. I did not talk Watford. Watford are gone.
Well, hold on. We can't go any further into the show without talking about the big game of the week, Liverpool and Manchester United.
Yes.
The 2 teams you hate more than ISIS. But is this a game? Is this the stage at Anfield for Cristiano Ronaldo, who, by the way, had some terrible news about a baby boy today,
awful.
and I feel horrible for him.
Yeah.
And all the love to him and his wife.
It was twins, right? And the girl survived.
They lost 1, yeah. Which is just sickening and terrible, and my heart goes out to him. So I wanted to say that and get that out of the way. But is this a stage where he can go do what he did on the weekend? Can he thrives for these spots in a vacuum,
this
right?
Is a spot.
All the other stuff.
This is a spot for United. I mean, this is not hyperbolic. United can literally save their season with this
and
game.
Cost Liverpool theirs.
Right. A performance in this game at Anfield after they were annihilated at home. Laughable. I mean, they gave up. The last 20 minutes of that game were keep away, pathetic football. Mm-hmm. If this club cannot get up for a destroying of Liverpool in Anfield, even a draw would be heroic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? A draw kills Liverpool at this point. Weirdly. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But that Liverpool saw their schedule, have 3 games a week, chose the FA Cup final, semifinal against City as a team, as a game to put the biggest dogs out. And we're like, oh, Tuesday's fine. We got that.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm United, I'm like, yeah, you got this?
Yeah.
If I'm Paul Pogba, I am finding anything to find everything. If I'm Fernandes, if I'm Pogba, if I'm Ronaldo, I'm trying to think of the guys you would grab. I grab fucking Varane. I grab Fred. I grab Fernandes. And I get a hold of Cristiano. And I just go, no, fuck those guys. I'm like, we are winners. These fucking clowns are nobody. No one's going to disrespect me in this fucking building. We're going to go fucking get this done. I don't care. Don't try and score. Look, you're ready, right? You're like,
look at that.
We won the fucking Champions League. Varane and me, you, Fred, you fucking won leagues in Shakhtar. You won shit. These guys are fucking punks. Don't pay attention to them. Don't even fucking pass it to them. I don't give a fuck. Win this fucking game. Get me the ball in the box. Don't fuck around. Get it done. Let's go.
My nipples are so hard right now. That's a great speech.
Let's go.
That's a great speech.
I've never rooted for fucking United more in my life.
Yeah. Well, you're rooting for United. I'm rooting for Chelsea. Cats and dogs living together.
I mean, I'm not really rooting for United. I'm just like, can't.
Yes, you are.
I just can't.
Yes, you are.
Well, I mean, it's the only game I can think of that Liverpool will lose. That United has the talent to beat this team if they decide inside themselves that they have it. Or are they afraid?
Yeah.
I can't imagine that they're afraid.
I don't think they are.
Yes,
I mean, we'll see. I think that Liverpool's got a chance to lose this game. They've got a chance to lose against Spurs, and that's it, right? Like, so the hope is that I mean, look, and for the neutral, I shouldn't.
Everton, come on, Everton, find
Yeah,
something.
all right, yeah, that's right on the weekend.
Oh, Michael Keane's on our team. Forget it.
Yeah, right. No, I just.
I know. It's
So
I get
intrigued.
more passionate about my opponents losing than my own team winning.
Schadenfreude.
I should really be pissed off about that City game, but I can't be because I was like, oh, Atletico just fucked our season.
You called that walking into it though, and it wasn't even like a typical City thing. It was like, yo, they just survived a war. They have one leg, and Liverpool got to sit in second gear against Benfica.
Yeah, the thing is that the first half they didn't show up. Like they took that feeling and were just like, oh yeah, we're defeated. Like I thought Fernandinho. I mean, Zinchenko.
No, well,
God love him and his country being war torn. They missed so many passes, and then Stefan. I mean, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I mean, this. The less talked about that game, the better. Like that City came back at all was incredible.
I did see that they made it 3 too late, and I was like, oh, that's nice, but it never felt. Maybe it's because I talked to you before, but it never felt like it was a game that they had any chance at.
No, and then do they bring on De Bruyne? No.
Yeah.
They bring in Mahrez at the 83rd minute to try and save him. Okay.
Right.
I think Pep has a lot of respect. I mean, I think Pep knew he's like, we've won the FA Cup. This is a bridge too far. We can't get this game. We're just not doing it. They kind of gave it away, which kind of sucked, but I think ultimately they just don't have it. And weirdly, the weird thing is like this narrative of, oh, City don't have depth. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, right.
All of a sudden they shift narratives like, oh, Liverpool have depth. City don't have depth. I'm like, we have depth. We just don't use it. It's just bizarre. These narratives are fucking hilarious. Like we were talking about Spurs loss and how Spursy. It's Spursy. I'm like, it'll be Spursy until it's not.
Yeah. It's like I said, it was Brighton's game. It was not a game where Spursy is they went up 1-0 early and they capitulated and they lost 3-1. That I'll give you. I can't refute that. But a game where they just got outsmarted and beaten by a very good manager who's underappreciated.
Not by me.
We should name the show Squeaky Bum Time Graham Potter Conversations, right? Like, but like,
what I'm waiting for is for Potter to go to a bigger club and there be a surprise.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you talking about? Like everybody knows.
Hey, we have the episodes. We've been here the whole fucking time.
Yeah, it's just
the Graham Potter fan club.
Yeah, it's just like I'm just like, can they just get anything resembling anything who's a striker?
Remember when he said no to Tottenham? That was fun. God damn it! But he did, right? He did. He did.
Maybe they wanted to lowball him.
Probably, but like at the same time, like great. Like Graham Potter said no to you. Like so many managers wanted nothing the fuck to do with Daniel Levy. So anyway, it's not important. I don't want to talk about it any more than that. But it's just something that we saw coming. We've said this. You had them. We both had them. I think in the preseason, which we should revisit. The preseason table in the top 10.
I definitely
had them in the top 6.
I definitely had Newcastle going down.
So did I think. But like we also didn't foresee nation state taking them over. So what are you going to do? There are things that are out of your control.
We were chatting about weird stats. So we've gone through the season. We've gone through the games. We're the less we talk about these games, the more interesting they are. We're basically just on City Liverpool watch. Who's going to lose first?
Wait, you had Newcastle going down.
I
had them at 16. I had Burnley, Palace, and Watford, and you had Newcastle, Burnley, and Norwich. So we're probably going to both be 2 for 3. Because I wanted it to be true that Norwich were going to stay up, so I said Palace.
Oh, from news from the championship.
Yes.
Forest, big win.
Yes.
Big win. And pour some out for Wayne Rooney's derby. Relegated. He couldn't bridge too far. 21-point deduction. Could never get there. And he got relegated on a team that was Reading were down 4-1 to Swansea, and they pull it back level to relegate Derby.
Oh my God.
And they had a 6-point deduction. So they were dude, the championship's where the real men are born. There's deductions. There's no VAR. They play 3 times a week. It's 46 games. It's blood and or thunder. And you're like, we got 1 year of parachute payments. We got to go up, man. Need that money. Which is basically that segues back. I mean, we're all over the place, but that segues to Burnley. Their leverage buyout, their 86% of their revenue comes from the TV deal. If they don't stay up, they're gone.
Yeah,
they're like,
they might be in
bye-bye, American owners who got to spend money. Get the fuck out of here. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
What'll happen is it'll sink. They'll go down a level, and Sean Dyche will be like, I'm ready. I'm back. Give me back my team.
Yeah.
The boys will still be there, and he'll take them right back up.
Yep.
It'll be the same team. They'll be like 35 years old. They should have sold Tarkovsky.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they ain't going to get shit for him now. Anyway, where do you want to go, Mike?
Well, we were talking before the show. We were just talking hockey for a little bit, and we were saying that the hockey assist, as it's known, the secondary assist on goals that are scored, and that they don't exist in soccer,
football,
and that would be such a great addition. And we started to talk about why, and we we're like, fuck it, we'll save it for the show. But I think that there's a couple of different things, right? Like you said, when I score an own goal and it goes off of you and into your own net, I don't even get an assist for that, right?
No.
So there's a number.
In fact,
of
they give it to the guy who gave it up. Like it's own goal Magoo. Like Tottenham for a lot of the season, their third leading scorer was Mr. Own Goal.
So I don't mind that in the sense that if it's truly an own goal, because that there are two kinds, right? And it's true in hockey too.
The fuck ups and then the
deflection.
He fired it across the front face of goal. He's running backwards, tries to defend. He's like, either I get lucky or it goes in.
Yeah, exactly. So there's those. And then in hockey, you're giving them if it goes off of your ass and then off of your face. And
if you're near the goal, you're effectively
you're the last person to touch the puck before it goes in, right? So okay. Now we're not going to get too far into a stat reform kind of episode, but we've started to think about why, right? And so you had kind of a good point as to why that
I think
be.
One of the things that I don't think our listeners understand and know is that the professionalism and revenue generation of the top 5 leagues is relatively recent when compared to American sports. Baseball is created as a money-making enterprise. The NFL is created as a money-making enterprise. They say, college football is really popular. Let us make a professional league and copy baseball. I don't think people realize baseball is really the forefather of professional sports and is copied across. Like the league table that you see in the league comes from baseball. Baseball just had a single table, and that's how it looked for the first 100 years of baseball. So we've been cross-pollinating sports for a long time. But the sports that evolved from amateurism into professionalism as an evolution, they retain things that are weird, right? We have all these notions of sportsmanship and fair play and not thinking about stats and all these kind of things that American sports, we're like, what? You guys worry about that shit? I thought I was getting ripped off the whole time. Like $7 beer. Man, that's just how it goes. No problem. So that sort of stuff is new. And I think on the anniversary of the Super League, which
that's
was
right.
today.
Nice.
On the anniversary of the Super League, it's kind of interesting to think about why that ethos is inside and that the sport starts as amateur and becomes professional over time. I think Germany was the last league to be professional. They literally were like guys on the books or that became paid for. Like you worked at the Wolfsburg factory. Hint, hint, you're not on the machine anymore. Now, England was professional earlier, but they had a wage cap. Like you couldn't make more than 10 pounds a week until like 1953. Like they had a hard cap. Boom. And they fought, and this guy from Newcastle, and they had the reserve clause like they did in baseball. All these same concepts where you could demand a transfer or not. So all these things come across. And I just think that is where some of these stats that we think about, they do relay, because stats are about like, you need a contract. So you need stats to argue with the team to say, I scored goals. Like what's that amazing midfielder who says, I passed the ball to the other guy before he scored the goal. What do you mean?
Right.
You want that hockey assist, right? You're going to be like,
yeah,
I'm not, because I would love to know what Pirlo's hockey assists are. We don't know what they are because he played deep. He spun it out wide and someone crossed it in. Like, what would Bergkamp's numbers be when he was sitting in a number 10 and go 1-2 goal to Henry, especially late in his career? We'd never know. We only have these direct things, right? How many would guys have? I don't know.
Yeah.
It would be much more interesting.
And I was saying too, like on that point, there's so many team goals in football.
Yes.
And so to give it to one, sometimes two guys get all of the credit for that goal. And the Sharps understand this. Like, no. The play started in midfield. They put it out wide. They put it back into the box. To be able to spread that wealth a little bit feels like the right thing to do, but it has to be done in a very subjective way, in a way where, like, I mean, for let's call
what do they have? What do they call it in England? The dubious goals panel.
Right. Because then realistically,
I love the Duke. It's the greatest name for anything in the whole world.
Sure, yeah. Well, let's pretend from the 50s until 10 years ago, the home ground, I guess, scorekeeper would be the one in charge of that. They're like, that guy definitely gets the second assist. So you would start to see an uptick in like the home team stats, right? Which, by the way, has been true a number of times. There's a reason why most of the professional leagues, at least in the US, and obviously the FA in England, have had to go to a model where it's like, whoa. Your guys aren't in charge of this because it's your stadium. We're bringing people.
It's a third-party company, StatSync, Opta.
Exactly.
Now they have third-party, yeah.
Like, we'd be talking about, like, holding the clock so that Michigan State can get one extra play to beat Michigan in 2002. Like, that's the kind of shit we're talking about.
Squeaky Bum Time was a real thing that Alex Ferguson got because he berated fourth officials to get those 30 seconds.
Oh, well, that's
I don't know how he did it. NBA. He fucking did it.
Yeah.
Right? He would just drive his team on to get that extra. And those 30 seconds make a difference, right? Especially, why is there extra time? It's Squeaky Bum Time. That's the name of the show. It's the real deal. By the way, we found out the story. It's actually not. It's a misquote from an AP writer, but I forgot the story.
Oh.
Squeaky Bum Time was not what he said. It was something else. Anyway, I find that stuff interesting. I find evolution. I was reading a book called Football Men from 1965, where this really good writer is writing about like guys from the 50s. He's writing about George Best hanging out, and like some of the stuff that they did in the 60s was like when they were apprentice, it was real. Like you stayed at some lady's house who was associated with the team.
Yeah,
and you were like a kid.
Parents, I should say, or hosts.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I mean that happens all in Canadian junior hockey. That happens, right?
Like, I mean, too. It's exciting.
Well, yeah, but I mean, basically in any hockey city in the States and all of Canada, that's what happens. You have families who take in kids, 15, not even probably 13 to 19. And they basically stay with them for the course of a year.
Yeah, but here's the thing. That's the thing that's interesting, though. Like, if you really sort of break it down, I wonder the structure of hockey is probably more parallel to like all the teams in the UK. Like, they could have pro rel in hockey over there easily.
Oh,
right? Right? They could, because it goes way up and way down to low. Junior hockey's gigantic. There's a team in every town.
Yeah,
they have probably more parallels.
But the problem is that the turnover, the player turnover is so fast, right? Like, so you can't really get away with it because like no player is on that team for more than 3 years ever. Really. Yeah. I mean, I don't know, it's probably untrue, but like,
No, but I mean, just these sort of interesting structures. I think.
Yeah.
I think the way to think about it is, and we've talked about this a million times, is if the NFL, if college football had evolved into professional sports.
Yeah.
How would it be treated? How would people react to it if there was a professional Michigan? And how would they treat the old days wouldn't be that way. Oh, how did that work? They became professional, and like, what do all the institutionals change? How does the whole thing work? And you'd just be like, what? You would be all fucked up.
It's sort of interesting that if you think about it for a second, like that America's greatest academics, right? Because the Ivy League basically was in the college football game as early as anybody.
Yeah.
So our
Same with
smartest,
football.
that's what I'm saying. That they were
soccer. Yeah.
That our smartest our most wealthy institutions let the NFL happen right from under their noses. Right? They're like, we could have been that times 7 because there's that many more teams. Like, we didn't really want to. Whatever.
Oh, it was the violence, right? It was they tried to ban it, right? Teddy Roosevelt said, no, we should keep this.
Yeah.
And it should be part of our, muscular Christianity. I love the sort of foment of professional sport, sort of post 1850s is amazing. The whole thing is just all of it, from rugby to football to, I think the Australians are the oldest professional league in like 1867. They start their rules. We have our rules. Canada has their rules, and then it sort of morphs into ours. That all these football codes are all happening at the same time, and they we coalesce around the Football Association, around a northern rules from the Sheffield group, and they write the fucking rules down, and it expands from there. And it's this amazing thing that we're still talking about, still wondering what goes where and who did what. And the professionalism and the money is incredible. And I just want my team to win the league and not have Liverpool win it.
Well, let's talk about that.
More than
You've
anything.
Got Brighton now.
I do have Brighton. I'm afraid.
How do you feel about that? Yeah, you should be.
I'm afraid. So City are at home. The boys should be over their sort of like bridge too far moment. They had their Operation Market Garden, and Montgomery fucked it up. So we don't get the bridges in Eindhoven, and we don't end up in Berlin in the winter of 45. So that didn't happen. It's a bridge too far. I made 7 movie references. I just talked about the Germans. I talked about the British. The Polish did help with the boats, but it didn't go so well. Anyway, so I do think City will be fine. They're at home. I think Pep probably thinks the most like Potter. So he'll think that City are going to try and, fuck about and he'll think that Brighton are going to try and flood their midfield. The thing with Brighton is they'll play 4 systems in a half an hour. Like, they'll just move. And you're like, where the fuck are they going? Right. One thing that was noted about this game that I listened to a couple podcasts was that Cucurella was shithousing pretty good with your boys.
Certainly was.
And that team has a little bit of that, right? There's a little bit of Duncan Duffy. They get in there. And Basuma's a tough bastard, and Mwepu is a tough motherfucker. Like, these
Mwepu's sneaky. And by the way, he should have been caught. He probably should have gotten red twice in the first half for a second yellow. Got away with it. Got yanked off at halftime. But he's a guy, like, he has finish and bite unlike anybody else. Like, I know Trossard took the goal well, but Mwepu, when he gets the ball, scares you a little bit.
And it's taken a while for him to get used to it. But you know what you have to think about is, like, this is a guy from fucking Zambia. There's like 3 of them, and he got out of there. Like, when you go look at a map where Zambia is, that shit is far, man. It's not like some English colony where there's a lot of immigrants, like Nigerians, that's fine. In Ghana, they have a lot of history with football where there's a lot of guys looking and whatever. When you're from fucking Southeast Africa, Zambia is out there. Like, how the fuck did he even get to be found? Yeah. And so I get a little bit of like, this guy's legit, sort of the same way Sonny is a little bit. Like, when you get those Korean players, you're like, if he's here, he must be fucking good. Otherwise, what the fuck is he doing here? Right? Yeah. So, Mwepu took time. And then I have Calcedo, who's 20, who's also a guy to watch. Brighton, their big problem is they don't finish goals. As much as we like to think of, I think Mopé's spending too much time finishing with women and not finishing with goals. Hey. They miss penalties. They are in the top 3 in draws across all of Europe. So they're close, but they need Liam Delap. And I can't wait for City to fucking loan him there. And I can see, you haven't seen him. You haven't seen what he's like.
I haven't really gotten to watch him.
He hasn't played is the problem. He was on the Champions League squad, and I was hoping that he was going to play. He's basically Haaland. And what's going to suck is Dortmund is going to get him. And because the way Sancho went and the way, all these English players don't get a chance, he's going to go to Germany and just kick ass. He's that good. Anyway, You're running out of steam. Give me the cue, baby.
All right, let's get out of here.
That was the Squeaky Bum Time Podcast with Mike Salerno and Laurent Cortines. We are the football wing of the Chop Sports Network, and we are on Fine Hub. We love you people in the UK, you rat bastards. We record on Tuesdays and Fridays, so be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcast so you never miss an episode. And if you're listening on Apple or any other podcast platform, please rate and review the show. It makes a huge difference. And if you don't, we don't like you.